that's why I'm doing this show. That's why I want to do live events. That's why I want to travel around, because ultimately we've got to do this for ourselves, and it has to be a grassroots movement. And that's extremely difficult because that kind of soul searching, it often does have to be forced on people. Like this level of soul searching often only gets resolved because people are forced to resolve it. And I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to be in that scenario. I would rather do everything I possibly can to create the alternative, which is that we decide to collaboratively, united, do something about the problem of racism and actually use people power for the first time in a long time to force the government to actually do something to facilitate it. And I think we've somewhat did that with DEI. Just having the DEI structure in place is like a foothold that, you know, um, I think that was mostly a creation to create legal liability, a shield for legal liability, but like
Yeah.
it still created a inroad, that never existed before in a lot of different environments, in a lot of different contexts. And it's kept the conversation going, and that's something that we even lacked when I was growing up. When I was growing up, it was just like you, brother, not that I don't see race, but that like I was basically taught that racism was over, and I
Yeah.
basically believed it. And despite it badgering me and bludgeoning me in the face all the time, I was always attributing the racism that I experienced to other things because that's what I was taught to do. I had to learn to see the world for what it really was. And the damage that that did on me is like, I mean, nobody cared about that. Nobody cared about writing a law for that. Let me tell you about that, Charles. Nobody
No.
bothered for that. So,
No.
yeah.
And I still think, even though I think it's important to acknowledge that we have to admit there has been some progress, even if it's just on an interpersonal level, like on the people level. I mean, you look at again during the time of Ruby Bridges, what was the approval rate of interracial marriage? Like 4%. Last Gallup poll, it was 90 something, right? Like it's progress when you see metrics like that, that when people are showing, even if the people haven't got to the point where the flaws in the systems have been corrected, if we haven't overturned them, at least, you see, I'm trying to think of a good way to say it. Like the sentiment is there. It just, we need to keep pushing. It's like Sisyphus rolling that boulder up the hill. It's sometimes, I know, we push, and make, and then, oh, Donald Trump gets elected, back down it goes. But the change, if we look at one thing, I think through human history, the change that is most righteous is two things. It's slow, but it's inexorable. If what you're proposing is truly righteous, I think it is. It's just not going to be stopped. It just won't. It may take longer, like I said,
Well,
generations
brother,
battle.
I don't.
It
They've
it
been
ain't getting stopped.
they've been pretty efficient at stopping us,
Yeah,
from making progress. They just kill people, like I
I
mean,
know.
people get executed, and that stops progress.
Uh,
Same thing happened with Cop City. I don't know if you're familiar with
yeah.
Cop City in Atlanta
I
here.
I think I heard about they're trying to make like a police training ground of some sort.
A
Okay.
one
And
hundred
what
million,
was
$100 million investment into a
shoot,
police training ground, and yeah, there were people protesting, and the police executed someone, one of the protesters, and then they
yes.
naturally lied in their
Yeah.
investigation about what happened. But it was determined that they just executed this young kid. I think he was uh, 19 years old, I believe.
Oof.
Yeah,
Fucking wait, pardon my language. Right? That's yeah. I apologize if I come across sounding lib there. I think, as we are in a bit of a step back right now, with the political situation being what they are, in America. Yeah, I think, it's going to be a lot harder going, but I really think the vision, what I was trying to get across is that the vision you're saying, I think I see evidence of it in people as a whole on an individual level. And I think the progress in things like opinions on interracial, marriages, stuff like that, at that level is going to result in time and with work in the changes we need, so that, man, the abuse you take sometimes, man, is crazy. When I see that on, I shouldn't say it's crazy as if to imply it's makes no sense given that we've discussed how, very predictable it is for these people. But, I can't wrap my brain around that mindset, or someone sees you excelling in life and it's an attack on everything they believe in. It boggles the mind, man.
I mean, but it makes sense, brother. Like, I
Mm.
mean, if you think about the historical context, it makes perfect sense. Like,
Yeah.
racialized white people have been working for literal generations to make sure that they don't have to face this. We don't think about that. We don't look at that, but that's the reality. Is like this there there is like an immense force making sure that individually racialized white people do not ever do that introspection. I know that a lot of people don't realize that, but that is a force that exists out there, and it is quite virulent. And so, like,
Mhm.
I think that, ultimately, the first thing was to kind of get more people aware that such a thing exists. And despite the criticism of like Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi, I really think that they helped people get closer to understanding that, hey, like maybe I actually have some internal work to do. Something that is like completely foreign to people in the race context who are racialized white. A lot of people perceive it as an issue for people of color. Race is your problem, but it's really not.
No.
It's never been. And so like this is the direction that things are going to always have to go in order to heal. It's going to take introspection by a lot of racialized white people. Like it is a necessary element of fixing the problem, and it's
Yeah.
something that we've never done. And so,
And
yeah, I do see that we're making progress, but like I wish that part of the progress we could make is to start acknowledging this reality, because without doing that, like we're just going to take baby steps and inch right back.
yeah.
Like it's so easy to fall back into. We need a radical change in mindset from racialized white people as a group about the subject of race. And that's why we need education on board to create that situation. I don't think we can really possibly do it without like a bunch of people like me sacrificing their lives, because that's probably what it will take. It's not easy doing this stuff, brother. Like it has come at a great
Oh,
cost of time and energy and spirit
oh,
and
sure.
mental fortitude. So that makes me feel so good that you feel that way about it.
Yeah,
Listen, man, put your money where your mouth is. You can become a
that's right.
patron and support the continued
Oh
creation of this
man, no,
work.
you called me out. Hey,
Heck
okay,
yeah,
I'll
man.
have to.
You know what? I always put my money. I support so many different people financially, and I'm a teacher, bro, on this teacher salary. I barely have anything. I give to people all the time, because I like to, you know, I don't just like say stuff, I know that a lot of people just like talking, but like for me, talking doesn't really mean much to me. Like what I care about is what people do. Like, and I try to live that way too. I try to be that example. Like I'm not just saying that I want to do something about racism. I'm not just saying I want to be anti-racist. I'm going to create the platform. I'm going to
Yeah,
like invest my time and my money and my energy, and I have done that. And it's rewarding, but it is a sacrifice. And
yeah,
so people like you telling me that like you see me from the outside and you perceive it as being a good thing,
yeah.
I need it. So I need it, bro. It's
No,
like
hey,
it's life force.
hey,
So
goes all back to my overarching principle. Are you being more of the problem or more of the solution? And you're clearly being more of the solution. Again, a great effort on your part. It's something that can easily be supported. And now that you Patreon dropped me on live TV, it's something I think I probably will, because I do have a sense of shame. So
listen,
I'll have
don't
to
do
see
it
what's in
because
the
I
old.
forced you. Listen, do it because you believe in this. If you
Not
believe in me,
forced,
if you
just
believe in what I'm doing, just
reminded me of my adherence to my principles and left the rest to my sense of duty. So, all right, well played, well played.
well said. Very well
Mm.
said. That
Well,
was
so thank you.
a good
So
summary
yeah,
there.